All right, we got the officially admitted government iceberg. Let's go. First up, we have the Church Committee. Most people have never heard of the Church Committee, and that's kind of the point. In 1975, a Senate committee led by a Senator Frank Church launched one of the most significant investigations in American history, and most of us don't even know about it. And what they found wasn't just a conspiracy, it was a paper trail to something worse. After investigators subpoenaed thousands of classified documents, they uncovered that the CIA had been running illegal surveillance programs on American citizens for decades. One of which was Operation Chaos, a program that had been secretly building files on over 300,000 American citizens, including journalists and anti-war activists, completely outside of any legal authority. The FBI had been actively targeting just about anyone they considered a threat, but the issue was they weren't just like watching these people, they were actively sabotaging their lives. They did things like planting false evidence, sending anonymous letters to destroy marriages, and in some cases, there are strong indications they went much further than that. The most documented example being Fred Hampton, a 21-year-old Black Panther chairman who was shot and killed in his sleep after the FBI provided detailed floor plans of his apartment directly to Chicago PD through a program called COINTELPRO. And the thing is, none of this was denied. Similar to all of the entries on this list, it's all right there in the documents. We have proof of this happening. Stone cold proof the government had been operating a shadow program against its own people, and the only reason we know about it is because someone finally decided to look into it. Next up, we have Operation Mockingbird. Operation Mockingbird is one of those things that sounds so insane even to this day. Most people just write it off as conspiracy theory, and while the CIA has never officially admitted to a program by the name Project Mockingbird, what was confirmed is very hard to explain away. Starting in the late 1940s, the CIA began recruiting journalists, editors, and media executives at some of the biggest news organizations in the country. We're talking like New York Times big, CBS, Time Magazine, and the goal was simple: to control the narrative, plant stories, kill stories, shape public opinion from the inside, and control the general public. And this worked for decades without anyone knowing. Fun fact, the Church Committee, which we just talked about, is actually what blew the lid off of this one as well. Their investigation found that at its peak, the CIA had relationships with over 400 journalists who were either directly on the payroll or being used as assets, so make of that what you will. And the CIA director, William Colby, didn't really deny any of this. Like, when he was pressed during the hearings, he essentially confirmed the program existed and had been running for years. And the thing is, the CIA actually declassified their own documents on this in 2007. They called it the Family Jewels, 702 pages of stuff they themselves admitted probably shouldn't have happened, and it's sitting on their website right now. You can go check it out for yourself. So the next time you're watching the news, just keep in the back of your mind that there is a fully documented historical precedent for the US government planting people inside the media to control what you see and what you hear and what you think. Next up, we have the CIA torture report. And unlike everything else on this list, this one isn't from like the 50s or the 60s. This happened in most of our lifetimes in the 2000s, and the fallout from it is still being debated to this day. After 9/11, the CIA launched what they called an enhanced interrogation program. And for years, the government maintained that it was necessary, effective, and within legal boundaries. But all three of those things turned out to really not be like exactly true. Torture being within legal boundaries just doesn't really make sense anyway, honestly. But in 2014, the Senate Intelligence Committee released a declassified summary of their investigation into the program. The full report was 6,700 pages long, but what was released to the public was only around 500 of those pages. But honestly, 500 pages was more than enough. Detainees were waterboarded to the point of unconsciousness. Have you ever been waterboarded? I've like waterboarded myself in the shower one time. I don't know how It's torturous, it really is. Sleep deprivation for up to 180 hours straight. People were confined in boxes too small to stand in, but not big enough to sit down in. There are documented cases of detainees dying in custody. The CIA was literally torturing people to death. And the part that really sticks out to me, the CIA repeatedly lied to Congress about what was happening and whether any of it was even working. As a matter of fact, their own internal reviews found that the program produced little to no actionable intelligence. So it wasn't just brutal, it was brutal and pointless. 6,700 pages, and if you want to read it yourself, a civilian archive called the Black Vault has it sitting there for free, built by a guy who started out filling government document requests at 15 years old. Everything we've talked about in this video and more, it's all in there, so if you are interested, just go check it out. Next up, we have Operation Northwoods, and if you've watched any of my other videos before, you may have heard me talk about this one, but it's like way too crazy not to mention. In 1962, the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest ranking military officials in the country, drafted and signed off on a proposal to stage terrorist attacks on American soil and blame them on Cuba. I want you to let that sink in for a second. We're talking about the U.S. military planning to bomb American cities, sink American ships, shoot down American planes, kill American civilians, and then point the finger at Cuba to justify a war. And the plan was detailed. It wasn't just like a casual conversation. These were written proposals with specific operations laid out to blame Cuba. They planned to stage a fake Cuban attack on the US military base at Guantanamo, create these fake funerals for fake casualties to generate public outrage, and even hijack American planes by remote control. And this made its way all the way to the top. The Joint Chiefs signed off on it and sent it to Secretary of Defense Robert McNamara, who passed it to President Kennedy. Luckily, Kennedy killed it, which fed into his whole assassination conspiracy, and shortly after, Kennedy removed the chairman of the Joint Chiefs from his position, which also fed into that whole assassination. The documents were declassified in 1997, and similar to everything else on this list, you can read just about every single page of it. So next time someone calls something a conspiracy theory, just remember the highest ranking military officials in the country once sat down and wrote out a detailed plan to murder their own citizens and signed their names on it to top all of it off. And what makes it even funnier is when you find out that while all of this was happening, the US government was simultaneously trying to assassinate Castro, the dictator of Cuba at the time. This is the bow on the cake. This is so funny to me. According to Cuba's own counterintelligence chief, there were hundreds of documented assassination attempts on Castro, most of those being Americans, including exploding cigars, poisoned milkshakes, a contaminated diving suit. They were so desperate to take Castro out, they hired the actual mob to do it, which didn't even work. They were itching to go to war with Cuba. They were trying to find any reason possible to bang it out with Cuba. Our government can be ridiculous sometimes. Next up, we have the Tuskegee syphilis study. And I'd say this is probably the worst thing they've done. Starting in 1932, the US Public Health Service recruited around 600 black men in rural Alabama, 399 of whom had syphilis, for what they were told was a free healthcare program. That, however, was a lie. These men had syphilis, and the government knew it. The whole point of the study was just to observe what syphilis does to the human body if you leave it completely untreated. So that's exactly what they did for 40 years. By 1947, penicillin had become the standard cure for syphilis, a cheap, widely available treatment that could have saved every single one of these men. So we had 600 men for 40 years with a cure for their sickness sitting right there, but the government didn't give it to them. They actually actively made sure these men never received treatment so the study could continue. And it finally got exposed in 1972 by a whistleblower. And by this point, 28 men had died directly from syphilis, 100 had died from related complications, 40 wives had been infected, and 19 children had been born with congenital syphilis. The US government let hundreds of people die on purpose just to see what would happen. So I know I always say it, I'm gonna say it again. Remember, If you ever find yourself saying the US government would never do something like that, yes, they would. They would definitely do something like that.